Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest session of IRMAN Talks. We have been doing these talks for the last 2 years, and I think we are on the 45th edition. And the objective of these talks is nothing but to bring alumni together on the pretext of, uh, sharing their experience, their memories, their skills, advice. And it has been pretty well received. So, in today's edition, we have Richie, who is from PRM 26. And the topic she has chosen resonates with her work experience, which is techniques for scaling up businesses. She knows more about it, so she will share in the next 40 minutes. And this session will be moderated by Hari, who is also from PRM 26. Sorry, it's a cold, so bear with
Right.
me. And Hariom is, he has moderated a session before also, and I'm very thankful to him for taking out time from his busy schedule to moderate this session. By profession, Hari Om is a Secretary General of Indian Dairy Association since 2024, and he's from the same batch as Richie. Uh, he has worked in various functions, including marketing, people management, responsible for operations and P&L. And not only that, he has successfully managed very large scale operations, be it the sales or launching new brands. So I will hand it over to Hari to introduce Richie in more details if he wants, and then Richie can start with the topic. Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you for inviting us, Moderns. And it is my privilege to moderate this session today, especially since we have an exceptional speaker like Richie with us. So Richie is a dear friend to mine, and she's not just a marketing expert and dairy value chain professional with over 2 decades of rich experience across coaching, consulting, and strategic marketing, but also someone I had honor to know and work with during my days earlier in GCMF. So even back then, her ability to analyze challenges and provide solutions stood out. And I often thought that she had a making of a great coach and consultant. And yeah, today here she is. She is doing exactly that, guiding organizations of all sizes and industries towards exponential growth towards framework like scaling up TQM and Hoshin Cannery. Beyond her professional expertise, Richie actively supports CSR initiative focused on women empowerment and grassroots development, and is an ardent volunteer for social causes, as we already have seen in IA and everywhere. So let us dive into the session by addressing some fundamental questions about scaling up businesses. Richie, thanks for joining us today. And I just begin with very fundamental question which came to in my mind. Like our Irman's community is doing exceptionally well, and we have had a wide variety of business across, like from very small to very large scale. So now, why we are, even talking about scaling up growth in businesses? So just the question first came into my mind.
Yeah, so Harry, thank you so much for the lovely introduction. And I can really say that I'm very honored that the Secretary General of Indian Dairy Association has kindly agreed to moderate my session. Thank you so much. I would like to say that, see, about 11,000 startups begin every hour in the world, and nearly 76% of them never get beyond the entrepreneur as the sole employee. In fact, Vern Harnish says that most of these companies are overstaffed, which means that they probably what they're trying to do, they are not able to achieve. And only 1% of these around the world go beyond one employee and founder. So it is extremely important for us to know what people and businesses are doing and how the businesses are growing around the world. In fact, I'll give you an example of Scott Farquhar, the founder of Atlassian in Australia. It's a software product company. Some of us may be exposed to the project management tool called Trello, which helps teams organize, discuss, and complete work in the shared format. This company started in 2002, and 3 years back, they went public with $4.2 billion market cap, which today is $31 billion cap. Now, we have to understand that to achieve that kind of a scaling and growth, we really need to have absolute discipline and laser sharp focus in whatever we are going to do to move forward. And especially we as IRMANs, because we are in the business community, we need to know what is going on in the world, and we also should exploit the tools and the mechanisms that are available to us.
So, so need to catch up. But what if
Your voice was breaking.
okay, I just repeat my question. So you are saying that the world is moving ahead fast and we also need to catch up, right? So, but what if my industry doesn't have the potential to deliver the kind of result you are talking about on that scaling up and reaching very high, growth and all?
So let me give you an example. When the automobiles were invented in 1880s, and the first car to be patented was the Benz motor car, which was patented by German mechanical engineer Carl Benz. Who would have thought that ideally we would know that or think that the horse pulled carriage will die down and the equine industry would go down with it. But can you believe that today the equine industry boasts of being a $300 billion industry? So I can actually confidently say that there are no bad industries. It is just bad leadership. And I'll give you another example of Caravan, the Saregama HMV product, Caravan, that we all must have seen or heard about. See, HMV had this huge legacy of large music archives, and until recently, no one could even figure out what to do with these archives, and they were seriously considering selling off their rights to the large repository of songs that they have. Now, they have been enjoying substantial increase in sales in the music division by the launch of Caravan because they identified their niche and they placed themselves in the right spot at the right time to the nostalgia of the target audience that they defined would be like 40 plus years of age, who doesn't want to do any kind of searching, and they want more of a relaxed experience to listening olden songs. Uh, Frankly, today, if I look at this, then this is all about the right leadership, the right mechanism to identify your strengths and utilize them in a way so that you're able to differentiate yourself and exploit what you have. To to give you another point here, global GDP today is about $110 trillion, which is up from about 34 trillion at the turn of the century, which means at around 2000, which means 24 years back, we were at $34 trillion. In fact, even during the pandemic, the global GDP was about 85 trillion. And one says that if you cannot make a million or billion out of that, then it's not the fault of the economy. I mean, it's not an industry issue, it's a you issue. So I should actually easily conclude that if I really want to do things well and I want to make it big, I have to be different than anyone else in the market. Otherwise, we'll be commoditized.
Okay, so to grow, we need to be different. So that's what you are trying to say. But why do you think that 70%, 70, even 76% of the businesses do not go beyond the entrepreneur as a sole employee? What is stopping them according to you?
A very interesting question, Harry. But let me ask, in your experience, you have worked with a lot of big organizations, corporates, as well as startups.
Yeah.
What are the challenges you think that startups face in scaling up, as per whatever your experience has been?
Yes, yes, definitely. I have also worked, short period of time in one of the startups. So I have also some, understanding. But in my experience, the startups that begin with a clear vision tend to do well because they are mission driven. However, many startups, they lose sight of their vision and get caught into the valuation, chasing the valuation and all. So this short term focus often, lead to unsustainable growth and they divert from their growth trajectory, and they have inability to scale effectively. So I think these are the this is the main reason why things don't go beyond. But definitely would like to hear from you that what you think about it.
So absolutely, you are bang on. The alignment is what is missing in what the leaders or the founders think and how the execution actually happens. And the larger question here is, are we able to take out time to think strategically at all? In fact, prima facie, there are three main barriers to scaling up. You can see them on the screen. One is leadership development, the other is scalable infrastructure, and the third is marketing effectiveness. But let me give you a little more information about each of them. See, the constraint often lies with what the founder is thinking and what the employees get to understand and what they implement. So, whether the expectations of the founder are aligned with the thought process of the entire team is something that really needs to be drilled down. And in fact, whether the leadership has given enough opportunity to the second line to grow and get developed is what will decide whether effective delegation can happen or not. And in any case, the founder cannot and is not expected to do all the work himself or herself. So it is extremely important to see that leadership development in the second rung also happens parallelly. Now, when we are looking at growth, we also need to understand whether, simply put, I'll give you an example. Let's say I have a plant with a processing capacity of 1 lakh liters of milk. Now, if I am selling 1 lakh liters of milk today and tomorrow I want to sell 2 lakh liters of milk, is it possible? No, it is not possible because my plant itself has a processing capacity of 1 lakh liter. So this is how you know that we have to understand whether our systems, processes, our infrastructure, let's say computer systems, can keep up with the growth that we are aspiring to. In fact, that is why, Harry, when plants are designed, they are designed in such a way that, let's say today's processing capacity is, let's say 2 lakh liters or something, and it is expandable to 10 lakh, 15 lakh liters in the coming times. So this is the second most important barrier that we foresee in success. And the third important point is about marketing effectiveness. So we need to understand first whether we are doing marketing or we are just doing sales. It is important for us to keep reminding ourselves that the best known beats the best. I'll repeat.
Yes.
The
Yes.
best known beats the best. Whether you are the best or not, it really does not matter. Somebody who is known will be given the project or the assignment. They will not go and scout who's the best guy. If you're not known, you're gone. So we really need to be aware that the kind of marketing spends that we are doing, are they giving us the due results that are expected? I'll give you an example. I was working with one of these organizations, highly politically oriented, and they had a decently big advertising budget and marketing lineup. Now, when we double clicked, we realized that what they were spending on was newspaper ads on birthday of politicians and leaders, donations for events which were politically influenced. So then you're not left with anything to do the actual marketing. And you are spending a lot of money in marketing, but obviously it is not giving you the desired results. So we have to understand how effective is our marketing in a nutshell. And, as it is said in Spain, the bottleneck is always at the top of the bottle. Thus, if we really want to scale, we should look at ourselves. It is important for us to think who or what is the actual barrier on our path to progress.
So we learn about these three barriers of scaling up from you, and I'm sure that you have a solution to these as well. So is there a science to grow or scaling up businesses, or like it happens random or what?
So, yes, Harry. Actually, Vern Harnish is a professor from the United States, and he has given us a framework through his book called Scaling Up. And I've been working on this scaling up framework for quite some time now. And I realized that it is so very important to bring in that alignment. That alignment, when it is missing, we keep on telling the teams to do this and that, but it will never happen unless it comes from within them. And this is one of the prime challenges that we as consultants also have been facing over a period of time. So here, Vern talks about 4 pillars of scaling up, which, when put in order, will be able to take us through unimaginable heights of success, as we saw in the case of Atlassian. But these same pillars can be seen as a challenge as well, because if they are not working fine, then we will have to figure out how to fix them to basically make us grow. So in our minds, we need to evaluate whether some of these pillars are causing us support or unrest. And in fact, looking at this, I would like to ask you, Harry, where and what are some of the challenges, let's say, in these 4 pillars that you may have experienced in your organization while trying to grow up your business?
So definitely, I think you put a very smart question. So the during my experience, I think the two biggest challenge I have encountered are the absence of a robust framework for expansion that may fall under the strategy part, and then the inconsistency in top leadership. Previously you just mentioned that the bottleneck at the top of the bottle. So without a clear structure, growth efforts can become chaotic, and frequent changes in leadership direction, and in fact in leadership, disrupt the strategic alignment necessary for the long term growth. So I think these two things are very critical for to expand you beyond your what you see yourself in the future. So that is my observation, and further you can, I think you can add on what I have observed in my experience. I would like to hear from you.
So, yes, of course, let us in our minds, each one of us, let us evaluate which one of these pillars is causing us the most trouble. And that is the thing in my way of accomplishing influence. So let us, for example, say that strategy is a problem, and we feel that strategy is not going right, and that is why we are not able to grow. Now, to tell you what, all the nerves in the body are connected to each other after all. So maybe the root cause is the one just before it. So maybe we are saying that we are not able to have the right people help me put out the strategy together. Or maybe I'm not spending enough time on thinking on the right strategic issues because I'm so struck just trying to deliver my product or services. Or maybe my execution is a mess and that is why I'm not able to execute it. Or probably because my execution is so poor, I'm not able to generate enough cash to fuel back it into the profitability into the business. And thus, I do not have enough funds to bring in the right people into the business. So it's a full circle.
Right. So you mean to say that we should focus on these pillars for scaling up our growth and businesses, right? But is there any method to this madness, or how practically you can conquer this? Though, so it's something which I think you should elaborate more.
Yes, absolutely. And at the heart of everything that we do or we even recommend to our clients is that we believe that routine will set us free. What we do every day or every week or every month is what is going to tell us upon how we have to work every day, and that is what will make a difference in how things are moving. So there are basically 3 disciplines which are required to be focused upon, which are priorities, data metrics, and meeting rhythm. And let me give you another point here where, let's say, I am talking about priorities. Now, what are priorities? Let's say when I wake up in the morning tomorrow, I have 1,000 things that I need to be get done. But then, which is the number one activity or number one priority for, let's say, today, or let's say for this week, this month, or this quarter? And that is how we will be able to decide what we should do and what we should not do. Now, how do we decide which priority to take up? So we really need a lot of data flowing in. And to get a sense of what I need to get done, we have to have a data on a daily or a weekly basis, and not like financial statements coming in on a monthly or a quarterly basis. So we really need to have the data plus a good gut feel of what is going on. And then to execute what we are thinking about, we really need to bring in that alignment in the team, which happens through the meeting rhythms. And the ownership also comes in because of that. So once the relationship alignment happens, we meet regularly, we share things, what has happened, what is pending, where we are stuck. And that is when we are able to decide, all right, this is where I need to go next.
I got your point. Theoretically, it sounds okay. Whatever is you're telling is theoretically okay. So, but further, can you some more practical tips or some more example you can bring from the real world, so that how can I grow my business? So I think that would help us all to know understand better.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So Vern has given us several tools as a part of the framework. So out of the 4 pillars, which are people, strategy, execution, and cash, each of these pillars have several tools which will help us embark on this journey. Some of these tools include like a function accountability, process accountability, strategy tools like Rockefeller habits, execution tools like Rockefeller habits, 7 strata of strategy, 1-page strategic plan, themes, cash acceleration strategies, power of one tools. And this is a whole long list of tools that are available. These are going to help us collect data, clarify our thoughts, and propel us into the right direction to take us forward. But then, let me not get into the theory, and let me tell you 4 main points for our takeaway today. As far as people is concerned, we have this 4D framework and it provides a pretty solid blueprint. But I think like what really struck me going through these materials is how much emphasis in the entire framework is placed on people. It is important because we could have like the best product going around, and we have a lot of funds, we have an awesome strategy, but if we don't have the right people to execute it, who are passionate and dedicated about it, then I don't think we'll be able to proceed. And then of course we are talking about the company culture. Not only it entails getting the right talent, but also keeping them engaged in the long run, because it is not about bringing in some perks or giving a billiard table or bringing in a swimming pool. It is also about defining our core values and the purpose for which we exist. And a very important concept that comes in here is also about the 10x vision. It is called the BHAG. BHAG is a term coined by Jim Collins, and it actually is an acronym for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. A goal which we really cannot even envision today, whether we will be ever able to achieve it. So it is extremely difficult to fathom whether it is right or wrong. And I'll give you an example. One of my mentee companies, they are into biofuels. And currently they have their first order. So they are just beginning. And they have their first order, which is worth 3 lakhs. But the BHAG, it's about when we were sitting and designing their vision document, and we said that we have to define a BHAG. It was about $500 billion by 2050. That's $500 billion. And it looks insane. I mean, is it even possible? What is the number that we're talking about? It's an entire industry in itself that we can look at. But then looking at the fuel industry, looking at the resources that are available, the growth trends, the focus, everything, we cannot say that they will not be able to do it. Can you say today that they will not be able to achieve that? So really, the BHAG has to be so big that it is extremely scary also. And it really motivates us to work towards it so that we are able to achieve it. In fact, we both are marketeers here. And
Yes.
have you heard about Regis McKenna, the author of Classic Relationship Marketing for the New Age Customer? Yeah. So, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell, Andy Grove, most of these Silicon Valley tech startups have been his disciples. And he is the one who did, what Peter Drucker did to marketing in 1960s, McKenna did in 1980s. And to achieve the BHAG, McKenna says that we need to start by listing down the 25 most important people in our industry who can help me scale. Is it too much? Okay, let's make it 5. Let's list down 5. Harry, when I started my entrepreneurship journey, I didn't have the scaling up framework with me. But this is exactly what I also did. I listed down all the top people in the dairy industry and I went to meet each one of them. And I asked them, what should I do? How should I go ahead? How will I grow? So it is a very natural process that comes to somebody. In fact, let me give you another example of Steve Jobs when he wanted to launch the iPod. And he also listed down 25 people influential in the music industry, but he did not know even one of them. So somebody he knew remotely told that, okay, I know the drummer of Beatles. And then he invited him to dinner one day. Do you know what happened next? The rest is history only. So basically, the idea is to list down people who will write for the industry, YouTubers, bloggers, influencers, and start by putting their name in the Google alerts. So that whenever you get a chance, you are able to write to them, something you hear about them, you mail them, or you make a call to them, or you meet them somewhere, you bump into them somewhere, and you have something to talk about. And then there is this another concept called Never Eat Alone by Keith Farazi. So Keith says that you should begin your day by having breakfast with someone, then have the first lunch, then have the second lunch, then the evening tea with someone, dinner with someone. So within a week or 2 or 3, you will see the transformation happening. You will be able to figure out something. And within years, people have seen grow their business internationally. And then, the most important point as far as marketing is concerned goes is that you need to have that 1 hour marketing meeting every week. And to yourself, you have to ensure that you do it with yourself and your leadership team, maybe to ensure progress. So this is all about the first part of it. But then as marketers, we also lay a lot of emphasis on branding. And we all know that branding gives us the pricing power as well. So when I started my professional journey, my mentor told me early on that marketing is about ruling the minds of the customer. And brand is the essence of that. It's the mind share that we hold of our customer. That is what will define whether we are there yet or not. It is the words that we own in the minds of the customer. And I'm going to give you another example about this. Let's talk about this company called Big Ass Fans. Actually, this company was launched in 1999, and the original name of this company was HVLS Fan Company because they were into high volume of air using low speed motors, and that is why HVLS. And the customers were, they never remembered them with this HVLS and all that. So they always called them, a lot of the customers called them and asked them, are you the same guys who sell the big ass fans? And these guys said, okay, if the customer is saying that they are able to relate to us with that name, so let us change it to big ass fans. And that is what happened eventually. So we need to understand how we are able to rule the mind of the customer. And then there is this very important concept called the brand promise, which will help your customer to make that decision in your favor. So this Philippine Ferries Corporation company, it was founded to basically provide a commutation service between the 7,500 plus islands that are a part of Philippines. And this organization ensured that they are able to give these brand promises, which are very safe, very fast, and very convenient. So it has made the decision easy for the customer to decide whether or not to take the services of FastCat or not. And this is how, from a fleet of 7 to a fleet of 30, is what is the aspirational target that they are having in 2030. So I'm going to tell you another thing. Now, we've spoken about branding, we've spoken about people, but unless the execution is done right, if I am not able to focus on that one thing without the focus on that thing from the 1,000 things that I have to do, the priority has to be decided. And let me give you another example of this guy. His name is Mark Zuckerberg. Of course, you all know him. Mark realized early in 2012 that he probably has missed the mobile bus. But then he prioritized the entire activity and the focus was brought into mobile. Every person in the organization abandoned the product on the desktop and they started looking at Facebook only on their mobile devices. And then we all know what happened. The rest is history. So it is important for us also to understand that apart from these people, strategy, and execution processes, one important and extremely important thing is the way we manage our money. Cash is the king ultimately. And in today's times, it is not easy to pull out or draw out cash from a VC fund or a PE fund if you're looking for some kind of a funding. In fact, I was talking to a fund manager the other day. He handles 7 US funds, primarily investing in startups. And he told me that he gets requests from 4,000 startups every year, 40% of which are Indian startups. Now, he says that his funds are 100% utilized. How can he entertain each one of them? So, what do we do next? I mean, there is only as much money in this world, no? So then I'm going to tell you the story about the Andersons, a father and son duo. They are a beekeeper duo from Australia. And they spent about 10 years perfecting an innovation product that will help anybody basically take out honey from this device. You can place it in your garden and you can switch on, turn the tap on and the honey will come out of it. So it is that interesting. But to be able to service their customers, they needed some $70,000 of cash as cash in hand for their working capital. Now, they could not manage to get it. So they decided to do crowdfunding. Crowdfunding it's not a very new concept, in fact. Ajay Desai from PRM 16, he has been using this extensively for IRMAn distress fund. Sometimes when we need funds in certain very dire cases, Ajay Desai has been using it. So we really need to understand, like in the Anderson's case, the campaign was 14 or 15,000 times more subscribed, and they managed to actually hire about $10 million instead of the $70,000 that they were looking at. So we really need to understand whether or not these kind of activities are going to help us. And the key here again is going to be the bias for action. So when we're talking about these ideas, it is more important that we take action. In fact, I was talking to Neeraj Garg from PRM 16 again, and he told me only one thing. He said, only action produce results. Whatever the best product you have, the good strategy you have, a brilliant marketing function you have, but if you're not taking action on it, you will not be able to derive any results from it. So those of you who have already started listing down the items, I'm sure you will be able to nail it, provided you are able to take some action from it.
So, you gave some examples from some industries. You are working, in food and beverage industry from, since long. And I also was trying to, think about your framework and my dairy industry. So, does this framework and its tool work for food and dairy organizations, or it's more suited to some of the specific domains or industries only?
I think this is an excellent question to ask, because this framework is domain agnostic. It is basically not about a certain level of company, a certain turnover of company, or a certain type of industry. It really kind of fits into anywhere and everywhere. In fact, it is interesting how this is not only about Silicon Valley startups. Whether you are a small business owner or a simply curious person about business growth, these principles are absolutely universal. And in fact, I'll tell you, I have started implementing some rhythms in my personal life. Simple decisions like calling my mom every Sunday has improved my relationship with my family multifold. And some of my client teams have managed to become more aligned, and they also have a fair idea of what is going on in the business. So they feel more connected. There is a lot of ownership in the business that has come in. And because in today's times, we all have comfortably adopted to the work from home model, I think this is very critical that we communicate really well.
So great. Means these process not only help us professionally, they help us personally also, right?
Yes.
Great, great, great. So we'll begin with the question. So my last question now, I just want to know, I learned so much from you today. So ultimate question is that now if I want to grow my business to the unimaginable height, what should I do?
So, well, we all have the answers. We all know we are very well exposed, we are educated, informed, aware. We know a lot of answers. Given the current social media universities available to all of us, I think it's important to know what we don't know. And here, the important thing is it's the question that we do not know. So let me take you to a story shared by Dr. Atul Gawande. He's a surgeon, and let us see what he's trying to share with us here today.
How do professionals
Audible?
get better at what they do? How do they get great? And there are two views about this. One is the traditional view. That is that you go to school, you study, you practice, you learn, you graduate. And then you go out into the world and you make your way on your own. That's how doctors learn. That's how lawyers do, scientists. Now, the contrasting view comes out of sports. And they say, you are never done. Everybody needs a coach. The greatest in the world needs a coach. So I tried to think about this as a surgeon. Pay someone to come into my operating room, observe me, and critique me. It seems absurd. Expertise means not needing to be coached. So then which view is right? Turns out there are numerous problems in making it on your own. You don't recognize the issues that are standing in your way, or if you do, you don't necessarily know how to fix them. And the result is that somewhere along the way, you stop improving. And I thought about that, and I realized that was exactly what had happened to me as a surgeon. So I asked a former professor of mine who had retired, his name is Bob Osteen, and he agreed to come to my operating room and observe me. The case, I remember that first case, it went beautifully. I didn't think there would be anything much he'd have to say when we were done. Instead, he had a whole page of dense with notes. Just small things, he said. Did you notice that the light had swung out of the wound during the case? Another thing I noticed, he said, your elbow goes up in the air every once in a while. That means you're not in full control. It was a whole nother level of awareness. He was describing what great coaches do. And what they do is they are your external eyes and ears, providing a more accurate picture of your reality. They're recognizing the fundamentals. They're breaking your actions down and then helping you build them back up again. After 2 months of coaching, I felt myself getting better again. And after a year, I saw my complications drop down even further. It was painful. I didn't like being observed. And at times I didn't want to have to work on things. I also felt there were periods where I would get worse before I got better. But it made me realize that the coaches were onto something profoundly important. I think it's not just how good you are now, I think it's how good you're gonna be that really matters.
Very encouraging, yes.
So I think for all of us, maybe we're feeling inspired to do some action in our lives or in our professional lives, personal lives. I think the one question that we can ask ourselves is that what area of my life, whether work or personal or project, maybe a relationship, will it actually benefit from having a little bit more structure to it? A little more intentionality and maybe a little more focus on some of these elements that we talked about. And I feel that, interestingly, most of these questions can have an answer. Try to read some of these thought leaders who have written some such frameworks, or maybe let's get a coach and try to understand where we are faltering and what we can do to fix ourselves or improves ourselves for that matter.
Thank you, Richie.
How
And it's an open house now. So anybody have any question, any doubt, anything somebody want to ask, they can unmute and speak. Or any, suggestion they have. So that is also welcome. I think I'm not getting any question, anything in chat. So Vipul is writing that the great session it was and very inspiring and educating. Do we get recording? I think we'll give recording, right, Richie?
Yes, we will upload the recording on our YouTube channel.
Now, Chidambaram City is asking that do we always need a coach? So
So
any answer?
actually, it's like it's a personal decision, of course, when we start and we feel that we have all the capabilities and we are doing extremely well, like Atul Gawande, the surgeon, told us. I think it's important for us to also evaluate that if we feel that we have become the masters of the universe, I think we definitely need a coach, because the key here is continuous improvement. There is no destination. It's a continuous journey. And particularly, it manifests a lot more in our professional lives, although we are not able to see the benefits of it in our personal life. But bringing this structure, this rhythm, and the kind of activities that are mentioned, I think it really gives us a lot of strength and clarity to decide where we want to go in the coming times.
Anything else somebody want to contribute to this wonderful session today?
I will be happy to hear the thoughts from some of our other seniors who've joined today.
Yes.
Please do share your thoughts about scaling up, or if you have tried to grow a business and then you have faced some challenge, do let me know what is your experience.
So now Sakshi is asking that there's so many coaches available now. How do you narrow down and go with someone? Asking especially when you do not want to go with someone you have worked or no. So I think you have given the answer top 5 to 25, right? Yes.
Yeah, I think Sakshi and everyone, it is very important to evaluate or maybe list down what we are looking at, what is our expectations from the coach, because this industry is so very crowded. Uh, with all due respect to everyone, uh, everybody who feels that they probably want to do something on their own and they don't want to start some product or services business, that is what they or we get into. It is very fairly easy that I have, let's say, 20 years of experience and now I want to become a coach. The coach will be extremely detail oriented, very meticulous. If you're looking at some specific information about your industry, you may want to choose somebody who's from your industry. If you're looking at some kind of a motivational activity, you may want to look at a motivational coach. If you want to streamline some processes, you look at a certain framework, let's say, for example, a scaling up framework, and that is what the framework brings to us. So there are various ways. And then, of course, you discuss with them, you talk to them. I think the most important factor here becomes that there has to be a certain kind of level, or, you feel connected to the coach. Because when the coach tells you something, you should be open enough to hear and take in what has been told you. It's extremely difficult, like the surgeon told us. It's very difficult to be observed all the time. Every word that you say, everything that you do, every move that you make, it's very difficult. Believe me, we undergo this like every time, all the time.
Vaswat is asking, in current competitive scenario, how do we manage our productive time? This, I think slightly,
Absolutely. And this is the question, Harry, that
yeah,
most of us face, because I list down the activities that I'm supposed to do. And let's say there are 18 of them. And I,
yeah,
okay, out of these 5, I will definitely complete today. And believe me,
yeah,
at the end of the day, I'm standing with one. And it's like, oh my God, couldn't I even foresee that I will not be able to do 5? No, I
right.
couldn't foresee. And that is what I have been repeating in this talk multiple times, that we have to have focus. In fact, there is a book, a very interesting book called Ping. Sorry, it's called the Eat the Frog. And
Yeah.
this book talks about uh, you you have this basket of activities that you want to take up. And what happens with us generally, I will take the smallest one, the easiest one, and I will try to finish it so that I get that satisfaction that, okay, we managed to complete this. On the contrary, the author really recommends to us that we should eat the frog first, which is the most difficult or the most dirty one to be done. You have to pick that up because it is the most important and the most critical. And this is how, Nehit, we really need to manage our time. We have to prioritize. We cannot do everything. We just need to accept that fact. Once we are able to accept that fact, we will know that, okay, out of this group of activities, this portion of activities I can delegate. This portion I can park for a later time. So this one, which is the remaining one, is the most critical and the most important. And that is what I will take, let's say, today or in this week or in this quarter, that I have to address. And that is what Mark Zuckerberg clearly told us, that if he had not done what he had done in that quarter, focusing on the mobile, he would not have been able to really put Facebook back on the charts.
Yes. And I think this is applicable to personal life also, to prioritizing the family and health. This is equally important, I think, in today's, very competitive, very pressureful life. So that is there. And now we come to the next question, uh, we are getting is from Chidambaram. Is there a difference between coach and mentor? And then again, adding to this, Harshit Joshi is asking the coach and consultant are same or not. So I think these are same kind of
Yeah.
question.
So
Yeah.
actually, these 3 words, coach, consultant, mentor,
And mentor. Yeah.
they really look very similar. And it's like, for a novice or for a layman, it looks like they are all the same. But we really need to understand what a mentor is. A mentor is that when you go to your mentor and you try to present a certain situation or a problem, you can discuss the problem and he can give you his advice as to how you can approach the situation. Okay. Then there is this coach. So when you go to a coach, he will work with you. He will, in a step-by-step fashion, take you through a certain process, which will help you identify for yourself whether you should take a certain decision or you should go ahead with something, you should not do something. But eventually, the coach is not the guy who's an expert in your domain or your business. So the coach will not tell you that, yes, you should do this, tick mark. No. The coach will help you come to a conclusion or reach a certain conclusion that, yes, this is how we can do it. And coming to a consultant. So in our domain, consultant is somebody whom we consider like an expert in that particular industry or a certain space that we are working in. So when we work with clients, particularly in the dairy space, we are consultants to the dairy industry, and we tell them that, yes, if you're facing any trouble with, let's say, a product or a certain kind of marketing activity or a sales distribution activity, this is what you should do. And then, they'll tell you what you should do and how you should do it. If required, they can help you walk the talk as well. But then this is primarily the difference which I foresee in terms of the difference between a coach and a consultant. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And now it's to the end of the question list. Still somebody has some question. I think later on you can ask directly or you can write to Richie or me, and we can try to justify what we think of it.
Harry, Harshad Joshi has written that
Yeah.
leave social media if you really want to productively manage your time. And that's a very interesting statement to make, because when we are tired, we hop on to the media and we don't even realize that we spend hours on it together.
Yes.
And we are not able to derive the actual benefit because the time and energy that we spend through our eyes looking at the social
Yes.
media, it doesn't give us any rest. It is not a
Yes.
resting activity. It's a stressful activity.
Yes. Agreed, completely agreed, but still we can't live without it. So use it judicially. That is the best approach one can have.
Yes.
And with this, I think we should conclude our session. And thank you, Richie, so much for sharing your valuable insight and practical tools for scaling up businesses. And your experience and expertise definitely provide us, much to think about how to implement this. And I think let's all strive to create businesses that not only grow, but also sustain their vision and impact. So thank you everyone here for being part of today's session. And special thanks to Richie for guiding us for the today's session. And we'll definitely meet in the next session with some other wonderful person. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you so much for moderating this session for me. It means a lot. And thank you, Ritesh. And thank you to the entire audience. Thanks a lot. Very grateful for your presence here today.
Thank you.